All right, today we're going to dive into the world of operational security. We're going to break down how big organizations build these massive digital fortresses to protect themselves, and maybe more importantly, what that all means for you.
So, let's kick things off with a question I'm pretty sure you've asked yourself, probably after getting your 10th password reset reminder of the year. Why all the strict rules? Why does it feel like the IT department is, just a little bit paranoid?
Well, it turns out it's not paranoia at all. It's actually a very carefully crafted strategy called operational security. And the core idea behind it is something called defense in depth. Just think of it like a medieval castle, right? It's not just one big wall. You've got moats, drawbridges, multiple towers, all these different layers designed to stop an attack long before it ever gets to the king.
Okay, so this brings us to our first section, defense in a digital world. And the whole philosophy here is that the absolute best defense doesn't wait around for an attack to happen. It's all about prevention, right from the very beginning.
Yeah, the number one goal here isn't running around putting out fires, it's fireproofing the entire building from the get-go. And this whole proactive mindset, it's actually borrowed directly from the world of criminology, a field that has spent decades figuring out how to stop crime before it even starts.
So, part 2, making crime harder. And this is where things get really interesting, because this is where security experts have learned to think like criminologists. They use these core principles of crime prevention to design digital spaces that make a hacker's job incredibly difficult right from the outset.
And a lot of this comes from a framework developed by a criminologist named Ron Clark, which is a total game changer. It gives organizations 5 basic levers they can pull to create a much safer environment. It's not just about building higher walls, it's about making the whole idea of attacking them way less attractive for a potential criminal.
Okay, so how does an abstract idea like increasing the effort actually work in the real world? Well, it's not just a theory, it's that secure login screen you have to use every single day, or it's the access card you have to swipe to even get into the building. Each one of those little steps adds a layer of friction that's designed to make an intruder just give up and go somewhere else.
All right, section 3, when the alarms go off. Because look, let's be realistic. No defense is ever going to be perfect, right? So what happens when, despite all the best prevention, an alarm goes off and an attacker actually slips through the cracks?
That's when the incident response plan kicks into high gear. A specialized team called a CERT, that's a computer emergency response team, springs into action. You can think of them as the digital firefighters. They're the ones trained to rush in, manage the crisis, and contain the damage as fast as possible.
And trust me, the pressure these teams are under is just immense. To give you some perspective, just one type of threat, phishing attacks, accounted for over 4.7 million separate attacks in a single year. That is the sheer scale of the battlefield they are on every single day.
And here's why speed is literally everything for them. The average phishing site, it's only online for about 46 hours. That's it. We're talking less than 2 days. So it's a frantic race against time for the CERT team to find it, investigate it, and get it shut down before it can do widespread damage.
So for a CERT, that clock is always ticking. Response time isn't just some performance goal they're trying to hit. No, it is directly tied to the bottom line. Every minute an incident goes unchecked can mean more data gets stolen, more money is lost, and more of that crucial user trust is just gone.
But sometimes a threat is bigger than just an incident. It's something so huge that it risks bringing the entire organization to its knees. And that's when you have to move from incident response to full-on disaster response.
And it is so important to understand the difference. An incident is tactical. It's a problem that you solve. A disaster, on the other hand, is strategic. It's an existential threat that you have to survive. And that requires a completely different level of planning. And when we say disaster, your brain might go straight to cyber attacks. But the real scope is so much bigger. A true disaster could be the headquarters burning down, an office getting flooded, even a sudden regulatory change, or, heaven forbid, a crisis in leadership. A really solid plan has to account for all of it. So on the technical side, how do you even prepare for that? Well, organizations have a few options, and it's always this balancing act between cost and recovery speed. A hot site, for example, is like having a fully operational replica of your office just waiting for you. It's super effective, but wow, is it expensive. A cold site is more like having an empty office space with power and internet ready to go. It's cheaper, but it takes way longer to get back up and running. It's this constant trade-off. Okay, section 5, the final line of defense. So we've talked about prevention, incident response, disaster planning. We've covered the technology, the strategies, the teams. But after all of that, what's the single most important element in the entire security chain?
At the end of the day, it's us. It's people. You can have the best firewalls, the most brilliant plans, and all the fancy tech in the world, but the human element is always the most critical link in that chain. And, it's often the most unpredictable one.
And this is why all of this matters to you. Seriously, whether you realize it or not, you are a key player in this entire layered defense. That security training you have to do every year, the constant reminders to be vigilant, that is not just corporate busywork. It is what makes the entire system actually function.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. We can harden our systems, we can build up our defenses, but ultimately the strength of the entire chain is determined by its human links. The question isn't whether people are part of the system, it's whether we're going to be its greatest weakness or its ultimate strength.